Force management involves the decision-making and execution of activities that encompass conceptual development, capabilities requirements generation, force development, organizational development, force integration functions, and resourcing. This process ensures the development of a capable operational force within constrained resources. Key components include capability development, generating and managing requirements, force development, structuring organizations, material development, acquiring and developing equipment, force integration, integrating personnel and equipment. Force management integrates these elements to balance current needs with future requirements, ensuring the Army can effectively respond to diverse operational demands. This slide illustrates the CGSC Army Force Management Model, highlighting key areas addressed in the F100 course through individual classes. F101 focuses on determining strategic and operational requirements. This involves understanding the needs outlined in key documents like the National Military Strategy, Defense Planning Guidance, and the Joint Strategic Capabilities Plan. F102 covers the Joint Capabilities Integration Development System, or JCIDS. This class explores how the Army develops required capabilities and .mil-PFP solutions through a capabilities-based assessment process. F103 examines the Defense Acquisition System, or DAS. This includes the Adaptive Acquisition Framework, detailing the life cycle from need identification to procurement and fielding of new capabilities. F104 involves document requirements and organizational authorizations. It discusses the processes for generating and approving authorization documents such as MTOs and TDAs, ensuring force structure alignment with strategic objectives. F105 addresses determining authorizations, including Total Army Analysis, or TAA, and programming requirements to balance manpower, force structure, and resource allocation. F106 focuses on personnel and equipment management. This encompasses managing manpower, personnel assignments, and the life cycle of equipment from requisition to fielding and redistribution to maintain readiness and modernization. F107 integrates planning, programming, budgeting, and execution, or PPBE. This final class ties together all elements to ensure effective resource allocation and operational readiness, balancing long-term needs with current capabilities. These classes collectively provide a comprehensive understanding of the Army's force management processes, ensuring a well-rounded education on managing change and meeting strategic objectives. This diagram outlines the Department of Defense's three primary decision support systems, which integrate Army processes with DoD systems. JCIDS. This system is need-driven and focuses on generating capabilities based .mil-PF, that's doctrine, organization, training, materiel, leadership and education, personnel, facilities, and policy requirements. It ensures that the Army develops the necessary capabilities. PPBE, planning, programming, budgeting, and execution. This system guides how to prioritize and allocate resources effectively, ensuring that all Army processes are adequately funded and aligned with strategic priorities. Defense Acquisition System, or DAS. This system is crucial for acquiring materiel systems. It outlines the processes for developing and procuring equipment and technology needed by the Army. These systems are informed by the National Defense Strategy and the National Military Strategy, ensuring that all efforts align with national objectives. This slide illustrates Congress's constitutional authority over the military, emphasizing its roles in organizing, funding, and oversight. Congress organizes the military through public laws like the National Defense Authorization Act, which impact the size, composition, and structure of the Department of Defense. Funding is provided through the annual federal budget process with authorization and budget committees in both the Senate and House overseeing appropriations. Oversight is conducted through congressional hearings, required reports, and inquiries, ensuring accountability and alignment with national defense objectives. This slide outlines the Title X functions of the Department of the Army, detailing the responsibilities of the Secretary of the Army. These responsibilities include recruiting, organizing, supplying, training, servicing, mobilizing, and demobilizing the Army. Additionally, the Secretary is responsible for maintaining and equipping the Army, including research and development, administering personnel welfare, and managing the construction, outfitting, and repair of military equipment and infrastructure. These functions ensure that the Army is well prepared and maintained to meet its operational needs, supported by congressional organization, funding, and oversight, aligned with DoD and CJCS priorities. This diagram depicts Headquarters DA, comprising the Secretariat and the Army staff. The Secretariat, which includes various Assistant Secretaries of the Army, ASAs, for financial management, civil works, acquisition, installations, manpower, and the General Counsel, oversees policy and fiscal operations. The Army staff, led by the Chief of Staff and the Vice Chief of Staff, includes Deputy Chiefs of Staff for personnel, intelligence, operations, logistics, signal, programming, and installations. Key roles like the Director of the Army Staff, Sergeant Major of the Army, Chief of Army Reserve, and Chief of Engineers ensure comprehensive management and coordination. This structure facilitates effective oversight, policy implementation, and operational readiness across the Army. This diagram outlines the Department of the Army's organizational structure, highlighting key components and their roles. The Army Commands, or ACOMs, are at the core, each with a distinct mission. ForceCom prepares and trains forces, TRADOC handles institutional training and doctrine, AMC oversees logistics, and AFC drives modernization. These ACOMs are vital to maintaining a combat-ready force. Direct Reporting Units, DRUs, operate directly under the Department of the Army, tackling specific tasks like healthcare, intelligence, and criminal investigations. Field Operating Agencies provide specialized support across various Army functions. ASCCs hold a pivotal dual-hatted role within the Army. They are assigned to the combatant commanders, receiving operational direction and authority. The authority wielded by combatant commanders is called COCOM. Simultaneously, they maintain administrative control, or ADCON, from the Department of the Army, handling personnel, logistics, and other support functions. This unique structure positions ASCCs as vital links between the strategic and operational levels, ensuring mission accomplishment and force readiness. This intricate structure enables the Army to operate efficiently, balancing global reach with local responsiveness. Understanding these components is important for appreciating the Army's capabilities and its role within the broader defense landscape. This diagram illustrates the fundamental relationship between the operating force and the generating force within the U.S. Army. The operating force typically comprising MTOW units, is designed to deliver specific capabilities directly to combatant commanders. These units, ranging from corps to individual soldiers, are assigned or allocated to support combatant command objectives. Conversely, the generating force, primarily consisting of TDA units, focuses on providing capabilities to the operating force. ACOMs, DRUs, and field operating agencies fall under this category, along with institutional forces such as TRADOC AMC, HRC, and USA CIDC. These organizations are responsible for training, equipping, and sustaining the Army's overall readiness. A critical aspect of this relationship is Title X authority. The generating force provides Title X authority or admin control to operating force units operating in theater. This ensures proper support, personnel management, and resource allocation for deployed forces. By understanding the distinct roles of the operating and generating forces and their interconnectedness, we can better appreciate the complexities of Army operations and the mechanisms in place to ensure mission accomplishment. This diagram illustrates the interplay of command and control within the U.S. Army. At the apex is the President exercising authority through the Secretary of Defense. The Secretary of Defense delegates operational control to combatant commanders who are responsible for geographic or functional combatant commands. Army Service Component Commands play a crucial role within this structure. They are assigned to combatant commands, receiving operational direction, OPCON. ASCCs also maintain admin control, ADCON, from the Department of the Army. This is distinct from command and control. ADCON encompasses administrative functions such as personnel, logistics, and unit training. It's important to note that ADCON relationships can vary and often involve multiple Army headquarters before reaching the Department of the Army. Unlike OPCON, which directly aligns with operational needs, ADCON is a more static relationship, typically following established administrative channels. The diagram also highlights the distinction between operating and generating forces. Operating forces, as we discussed earlier, are primarily composed of MTOW units, are deployed in support of combatant command objectives. In contrast, once again, generating forces, including ACOMs, DRUs, and field operating agencies, focus on training, equipping, and sustaining the Army. This intricate relationship ensures the Army can rapidly deploy and sustain forces while maintaining overall strategic direction and administrative control. Understanding these components, especially the nuances of OPCON and ADCON, is essential for appreciating the Army's operational complexities. This diagram illustrates the sources and flow of the Army Strategic Planning System, ASPS, which aligns Army capabilities and resources with national strategies. The ASPS is guided by the National Security Strategy from the President and the National Defense Strategy from the Secretary of Defense, which provides strategic objectives and programming guidance. The ASPS incorporates key documents like the Army Strategy, Army Campaign Plan, Army Planning Guidance, and Army Program Guidance Memorandum to establish priorities for resourcing decisions. These inputs inform Army capabilities development, which feeds into the National Military Strategy and Joint Strategic Campaign Plans. Unified Campaign Plan and Contingency Planning Guidance, along with Global Force Management Implementation Guidance, direct operations and planning to balance current combatant command demands with future capabilities. This integrated approach ensures that the Army's strategic planning is synchronized with overarching national defense objectives. The Army Strategic Planning System, which realigns strategic document development to replace the concept of TAP, the Army Plan, and highlights the Army Campaign Plan as the central planning document. So here's the ASPS framework. Strategy, 7 to 10 years out. The Army strategy combines the Army vision and other strategies into annexes focusing on people, modernization, and AI. Campaign, that's 3 to 5 years out. The Army Campaign Plan operationalizes the Army strategy, driven by the Defense Planning Guidance and Global Combat Commands. It serves as the central planning document with long-term and near-term annexes. Planning. Planning's done annually. The Army Planning Guidance, APG, bridges the gap between planning and programming, prioritizing program development and modernization tasks. Programming. This is also annual. The Army Programming Guidance Memorandum, APGM, applies resources to strategic priorities, linking guidance to detailed objectives and resources identified by Program Evaluation Groups, or PEGs. The ASPS is being implemented through 2023 to 2024, ensuring that current and future operational requirements are prioritized, synchronized, and resourced effectively. Here is a snapshot of the PPBE process within the Department of Defense. Planning. DoD determines the priorities and publishes strategic documents to support resource allocation aligned with the national security strategy. The joint staff and services plan to identify requirements and feasible resource allocations. Programming. Services prioritize requirements and organize them into programs, similar to a filing cabinet with categorized drawers. This organization ensures that programs are systematically managed and resourced. Budgeting. Required resources for programs are aligned with major appropriation categories, such as MILPER, or military personnel, RDT&E, that's research, development, test, and evaluation, procurement, military construction, and O&M, operations and maintenance. These combined programs form the Future Years Defense Program, sometimes called the FYDP. Execution. Execution begins when Congress appropriates funds to DoD and continues as these funds are obligated, spent, and tracked by service and OSD comptrollers, ensuring accountability and effective use of resources. Okay, we went over these takeaways in the previous video, so please go back and review these. And that completes our overview of F101, Foundations of Change. Thank you very much.